Welcome back for another round of mind-blowing animal behaviors. Yep, it's time for part 2 of our series, where we dive deep into the fascinating antics of our furry, feathered, and finned friends. If you thought part 1 was awesome, just wait until you see what we've got in store for you today. So grab your favorite snack, get comfy, and join us as we embark on another adventure through the wild and wonderful world of animal behaviors. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Hippopotamus sweat sunscreen. Hippos are fascinating creatures. I mean, they're these massive, lumbering beasts that spend a good chunk of their days lounging in the water, looking all relaxed and content. But here's the kicker. Did you know they have their very own built-in sunscreen? Under that thick, wrinkly skin of theirs, hippos have these glands that secrete this oily red substance. It looks a bit like blood. This substance called blood sweat. This stuff acts as a natural sunscreen and moisturizer. It's like they're walking around with their own SPF protection. Now, why would a hippo need sunscreen, you might ask? Well, think about it. These guys spend hours submerged in water, basking under the scorching African sun. Without some form of protection, their skin would get fried faster than you can say sunburn. And get this, scientists have found out that this hippo sunscreen not only protects them from harmful UV rays, but also has antibacterial properties. It's like a double whammy of protection against the elements, all thanks to their unique sweat. So who knows? Maybe the next big skincare breakthrough will come from studying their sweat. Dung beetle celestial navigation. Picture this, you're a dung beetle. Not the most glamorous gig in the insect world, but hey, someone's gotta do it. Let's say you've got this ball of dung that's basically your treasure trove, your all-you-can-eat buffet, but you've got to roll this dung ball back home and your crib is miles away. How do you navigate this dung-filled odyssey? Well, hold on to your exoskeleton because dung beetles have a celestial navigation system that puts even our GPS to shame. Researchers have found that dung beetles can actually detect the pattern of starlight in the sky and use it to orient themselves. They're like tiny astronomers, mapping out their path across the landscape using the celestial bodies above. Now you might be wondering why on earth dung beetles would bother with such fancy navigation skills. Well, here's the deal. They're on a mission to roll that dung ball back to their burrow, where they'll use it as a food source or a nursery for their eggs. But here's the thing, they've got competition. Other dung beetles are lurking around, just waiting to steal their precious dung ball. So these little navigators have to be quick and precise to get back to their burrow before someone else swoops in and steals their prize. And that's where their celestial navigation skills come in handy. By keeping their eyes on the stars, dung beetles can stay on course, even when they're rolling their dung ball backwards. It's like they've got their own GPS system, except it's powered by starlight instead of satellites. So next time you're lost and staring at your phone's navigation app, just remember the humble dung beetle, cruising through life with nothing but the stars and the moon to guide them. Who knew poop could be so profound, huh? Bottlenose dolphin sponge tool use. You know how we humans are always inventing new tools to make our lives easier? Turns out we're not the only ones with a knack for tool use. The bottlenose dolphin have a fascinating behavior. They use sponges as tools. These clever creatures have figured out a neat trick. You see, dolphins are super smart hunters, and they love to snack on fish that like to hide in the rocky crevices of the ocean floor. But here's the thing, diving down to the bottom and rummaging around in the rocks can be pretty risky, so some dolphins have come up with a genius solution. They use sponges as makeshift nose guards. Here's how it works. The dolphin places the sponge over its rostrum, that's the fancy word for its snout, kind of like how we would use a glove to protect our hands. Then it carefully probes around the rocks, using the sponge as a cushion to prevent any scrapes or bumps. And the best part, this isn't just a one-time thing. These dolphins actually learn this behavior from their moms and other experienced dolphins in their group. It's like they're passing down this handy trick from generation to generation. So the next time you find yourself out on the open ocean and you spot a group of dolphins doing their thing, take a moment to appreciate just how clever these creatures really are. Nudibranch chemical defense. Have you ever heard of nudibranchs? They're these colorful little sea slugs that are like the rock stars of the ocean, flashy, flamboyant, and just a tad mysterious. But here's the thing that really blows my mind about them. These fabulous creatures aren't just serving looks, they're also packing some serious chemical defense skills that would make even the Avengers jealous. Drifting along in the ocean currents, lurking nearby are all sorts of predators just waiting to make a meal out of it. But here's where the nudibranch pulls off its magic trick. You see, these funky sea slugs are armed to the teeth. Well, they don't have teeth, but you get the idea. With a whole arsenal of toxic chemicals. And when a predator comes sniffing around, the nudibranch unleashes a burst of these chemicals like some kind of underwater superhero deploying a smoke bomb. But here's the really wild part. These chemicals can be anything from acids to poisons to downright hallucinogens. Yep, you heard me right. Some nudibranchs pack a punch so potent that it can leave predators feeling like they've just stumbled into an acid trip. Nudibranchs don't actually produce these chemicals themselves. Nope, they outsource that job to their favorite snacks. Toxic sponges, jellyfish, you name it. They munch on these venomous treats and then store the toxins in their own bodies, essentially turning themselves into walking chemical weapons. So the next time you're snorkeling or diving and you come across one of these vibrant sea slugs, remember, they're not just eye candy, they're also the ocean's very own chemical superheroes. Japanese macaque hot spring bathing. Did you know there are monkeys who enjoy a hot steaming bath just like we humans do? In the snowy mountains of Japan, there is a bunch of monkeys chilling out in a hot spring. Sounds like something out of a quirky vacation brochure, right? Well, believe it or not, it's a real thing, and it's called Japanese macaque hot spring bathing. These monkeys, also known as snow monkeys, have become quite famous for their unique behavior. Japanese macaques are native to the chilly regions of Japan, where winters can get seriously cold. So to cope with the freezing temperatures, these clever critters have figured out a genius solution. They hit the hot springs. Yep, that's right. Just like humans, these monkeys love a good soak in the warm, toasty waters of natural hot springs. Now, you might be wondering how these monkeys stumbled upon this relaxing pastime. Well, it's believed that they learned it from watching humans. You see, there are plenty of hot springs resorts in Japan where people go to unwind and de-stress, and it seems the monkeys decided they wanted in on the action too. After all, who wouldn't want to kick back and relax in a warm bath, especially when it's freezing outside? So if you ever find yourself in Japan, keep your eyes peeled for these hot spring-loving macaques. You might even feel tempted to join them for a soak. Jumping bean moth larval movement. Let's talk about one of nature's little mysteries, the jumping bean moth larvae. Now, these little guys might seem like your average run-of-the-mill caterpillars at first glance, but oh boy, they've got a trick up their sleeve that'll leave you scratching your head in amazement. These clever critters have somehow managed to turn themselves into nature's own little jumping beans. But how do they do it? Well, here's where it gets interesting. Jumping beans are primarily found in the northern regions of Mexico, particularly in the states of Sonora and Chihuahua. They are produced by the shrub known as Sebastiana pavoniana. Jumping bean moths lay their eggs inside the seeds of certain shrubs where the larvae develop inside these so-called jumping beans. The larvae are equipped with these tiny muscles that contract and relax, causing the bean to hop and bounce around. It's like they've got their own built-in trampoline. While jumping beans are primarily found in Mexico, they have also been observed in other parts of Central America. You might be wondering why on earth these larvae would bother with such a bizarre behavior. Well, it turns out it's all part of their survival strategy. You see, by jumping around, they're able to avoid predators and stay safe from harm. It's like they've mastered the art of ninja evasion tactics. Cicada synchronized emergence. Ever heard of a party so big, so buzzing, it shakes the very ground beneath your feet? Imagine millions of these winged wonders bursting forth from the earth in perfect harmony, creating a cacophony of chirps and buzzes that can be heard for miles around. It's like a bug-themed Broadway show, with each cicada playing its part in the most epic performance nature has to offer. Now, you might think this is just a bunch of bugs getting together for a summer fiesta, but oh no, it's so much more than that. You see, these cicadas have been waiting underground for years, sometimes even decades, just biding their time, waiting for the perfect moment to make their grand entrance. It's like they've been planning the ultimate surprise party, and boy, do they know how to make an entrance. Cicadas are masters of timing, living underground as nymphs, feeding on tree roots and biding their time. But when the conditions are just right, usually when the soil temperature reaches a certain threshold, it's go time. With millions of cicadas crawling out of the ground at the exact same time, ready to paint the town red, or should I say green, because you know, bugs. But why do they do it? When cicadas emerge en masse, they increase their chances of finding a mate. It's like the ultimate singles mixer, with cicadas from all walks of life coming together to find that special someone. And with millions of cicadas all buzzing around at once, it's basically impossible to miss out on the action. Sometimes the best way to survive is to stick together and make a grand entrance. Aye finger tapping. One of nature's quirkiest creatures, the aye. Now, if you've never heard of these guys, get ready to be amazed. Picture a little lemur with big eyes and even bigger ears hanging out in the trees of Madagascar. The aye has a special trick up its sleeve, or rather, its finger. These guys have some seriously strange looking hands, with one finger in particular that's like the Swiss Army knife of the animal world. The aye's middle finger is extra long and skinny, almost like it's been stretched out in a game of tug of war. But instead of flipping the bird, this finger has a much cooler job. It's a tapping tool. When the aye is on the hunt for some grub, it uses its super special finger to tap on trees and listens intently for the hollow sound that indicates there might be some juicy grubs hiding inside. It's like the aye's version of knocking on the door and asking, "Hey, anybody home?" Once it hears that telltale hollow sound, it's go time. The aye whips out its trusty middle finger and starts gnawing away at the wood like a tiny lumberjack. And when it finally breaks through, jackpot, delicious insect snacks await. The aye's tapping isn't just about finding food, it's also a form of communication. That's right, these guys are like the Morse code masters of the animal kingdom. They can send messages to each other through their tapping, kind of like a secret code that only they understand. Marine iguana salt-excreting nasal glands. In the world of marine iguanas, where even their noses have a fascinating story to tell, native to the Galapagos Islands, these marine iguanas have a unique adaptation that allows them to survive in their harsh coastal environment. Unlike most reptiles, marine iguanas have a bit of a problem. They love to munch on algae growing in the ocean, but all that seawater can really mess with their systems. So how do they deal with all that salt? You see, instead of letting all that salt build up in their bodies and turn them into walking salt shakers, marine iguanas have developed a nifty little trick to get rid of the excess salt. They sneeze it out. Yup, you heard that right. These guys have special glands in their noses that filter out the salt from their bloodstream and then expel it in the form of salty snot rockets. They have mastered the art of the salty sneeze, aiming their nasal blasts away from their bodies to avoid getting covered in their own salty secretions. It's like a precision strike, but with snot instead of missiles, earning them the nickname snot rocket lizards. These nasal glands are so efficient that marine iguanas can actually drink seawater without getting dehydrated. Talk about a handy adaptation for life on the coast. Shoebill stork death stare. One of the largest bird species in the world, with a glare that could stop you in your tracks. Picture this, you're strolling through the marshlands of East Africa, minding your own business, when suddenly you come face to face with a bird straight out of a prehistoric time warp. Yep, that's the shoebill stork for you. The shoebill's got a beak that's so big and clunky, it looks like it raided a clown's shoe closet. Seriously, this thing is massive. It's like the bird equivalent of a snow shovel. But the most interesting thing about the shoebill stork is their legendary death stare. So intimidating, it's like it's staring straight into your soul. Now you might be wondering why this bird has such an intense gaze. Well, the shoebill stork is a skilled hunter, and its piercing stare helps it spot prey lurking beneath the water's surface. Employing a distinctive hunting behavior, they can remain motionless for extended periods. Once the shoebill locks into its target, it's game over. With lightning-fast reflexes, it lunges forward, plunging its massive bill into the water to snatch up fish, frogs, and even small crocodiles. It's like they hypnotize their prey into submission with just a single look. And it's not just their prey that's on the receiving end of the shoebill's death stare. Oh no, they'll give it to just about anyone who crosses their path. Trust me, the shoebill storks are not to be messed with. Thank you all for sticking with us on this journey through 10 fascinating animal behaviors. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more amazing content, and share your favorite animal behaviors with us in the comments below. I will see you in the next one. Stay wild!